This video is sponsored by G2A. Use cashback code DORON for 3% off on Warcraft products. Hello guys, this is Doron's Movies, and today I'll be talking about Banshees and how they're created. Talking about their history, creation process, significance in the story, and how powerful they are. So without further ado, let's get into the lore. Even though many know the Banshees as the creations of the undead scourge, the first ever Banshees came to be some 10,000 years ago. During the War of the Ancients, night elven women fell against the demon hordes, and subsequently their restless spirits were left to wander the world aimlessly in silence. The lore behind this is not 100% clear, but over the millennia they would become jealous of the living and would grow a deep hatred for all life on Azeroth. Some 10,000 years later, or some 20 years ago, this was perfect for the Lich King, as he became aware of them and realized that they could become a very powerful instrument of his undead army. So Ner'Zhul had gathered them, promised them vengeance upon the living, and provided them with terrible screaming voices so that the living would finally hear the hatred that they had bottled for thousands of years. These were the very first Banshees that began serving as very powerful soldiers of the newly created Scourge. However, the majority of them that we have seen so far were not really these night elven women, but instead were those that fell in the war against the Scourge. Primarily high elven women raised during the conquest of Quel'Thalas during the Third War. Later on we would also see humans that were turned into Banshees, but that is not completely clear. The most notable of them was Sylvanas Windrunner, the Ranger General of Silvermoon, later known as the Banshee Queen or the Dark Lady. The reason for her creation seemed more like a punishment rather than a weapon that the Scourge desperately needed. As Sylvanas was a huge nuisance to Arthas, once he had killed her and impaled her on Frostmourne, he did not allow her a clean death. Instead, he ripped her soul through the sword, creating the first ever high elven Banshee. Her body was flung on a meat wagon and later locked in an iron coffin, as her spirit was free to wander around, of course following the Death Knight. Furthermore, Arthas had retained her self-awareness, but he had bound her to his will so that she could see the destruction of Quel'Thalas firsthand and the death of her people without being able to do anything. Sylvanas would later reclaim her body, and as Ner'Zhul had lost power and Arthas as well, she together with other Banshees had rebelled and ultimately conquered a big part of the northern and eastern kingdoms and had formed the Forsaken. Many Banshees had joined her cause, but some have remained under the control of the Scourge. However, as the undead Scourge was ultimately defeated, currently Banshees are either a part of the Forsaken or are left to aimlessly wander the land. When it comes to their abilities, they are most fabled for their power to possess other mortals. They can force their way into the body of a living creature, replacing the native spirit with their own, receiving permanent control over their new forms. This is incredibly powerful and scary, and has a lot of potential as it can be used for infiltration and destroying the enemy from within. Other than that, the Banshees are also widely known for their horrific screams. They can be so loud and terrifying that it can cause the enemy to lose their combat skills, temporarily being unable to do anything, essentially being stunned. Through their screams and necromancy, they're also able to create magic shields for a short period of time, shielding themselves from incoming spells. It is also said that their unholy screams can be heard from a mile away, and aside from stunning or shielding, they can also significantly damage their enemies through them. All in all, Banshees are incredibly scary, being able to fly, possess their enemies, and pierce them with their power. Of course, their actual strength varies from Banshee to Banshee, with Sylvanas being the most powerful one, and the minor ones being a smaller threat. Still, the Banshees are very unique creatures, and are never to be taken lightly. Thank you for watching. Check out how Frostrunners are created by clicking on the screen, and check out the second channel, Doron's Academy, for videos on the real world history and science. See you next time.